common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now is one of the heads of the Media Research Center, Dan Schneider. Dan, you guys had a blockbuster report. Everybody's talking about it. You're the vice president of Media Research Center, Free Speech America. It's called Law and Disorder. What did you guys uncover with all your big investigative work?
Rita, people have known for a long time that George Soros has been behind the election of lots of these radical prosecutors. What we found, because we got almost 8,000 pages of their internal communication, the actual text messages and emails and even letters between these Soros prosecutors. We found that he continues to control them even after they're elected.
Wow. So what is the influence and how much money goes in and what is he expecting in return?
Well, in addition to the $40 million he put into their campaigns, he's put in at least $77 million more dollars to actually manage and control them, setting their policies, setting their priorities, even telling them who they're going to hire, and in some cases even fire, so that he can influence their agenda. And he requires these prosecutors to sign these pledges. So in some states, they have pledged not to enforce any of the state laws that prohibit child sex changes, gender mutilation. Other states that have some restrictions on abortion, some of these prosecutors are pledging not to enforce any of those laws. And, of course, that amounts to an illegal prosecutorial veto. That is not allowed under the law.
I have a quick question, and then we're going to go to Judge Weinberg. I have a quick question, Dan Schneider with the Media Research Center. How clear is it? Because sometimes you see like money goes to one group and then it goes to another group and then it ends up in say like a DA's campaign. How clear is it? Are you seeing from what you guys, it sounds like you have some blockbuster. Is it much more direct? Is it sort of a direct, is it a clear quid pro quo?
Right. The money's coming from the George Soros Open Societies Foundation and the Tide Center to fund these things. These are organizations he controls and the people he hires, and if they don't do his bidding, he fires them. And it's these entities, the Soros network, that is dictating to these prosecutors what they're going to do, including attending 51 mandatory meetings.
Wow, that's interesting. Everybody, we're talking to Dan Schneider with the Media Research Center. Judge Weinberg.
Dan, it's good to talk to you again. I'll tell you what's troubling to me is your revelation about they have to sign a pledge. So let's be very, very clear. There's a whole tradition about signing pledges. So when people run for a legislative position, whether it's a city council, state legislature, Congress, they'll sign a pledge. They'll support this or they won't support that or they're against this. That's one thing. Prosecutors and judges should not be doing that. That's illegal. That's unethical. And if they do that, they should be removed from office. They're violating their oath of office to maintain and enforce the laws. What say you?
Yeah, under our U.S. Constitution and under state constitutions, a president or a governor can veto legislation, but a prosecutor cannot. A prosecutor is not part of the legislative process. A prosecutor can use some discretion, like I'm going to emphasize this area over that area because I have limited resources, but they cannot pledge not to enforce the law. That is unlawful.
So is there something that exists where it shows that they are doing that? I guess that's the question.
Yes, we've got their pledges.
So you need governors. You need governors who remove these people from office.
Well, so Governor DeSantis has already removed some. Others have been. Some of these prosecutors have, in fact, been prosecuted. There's a prosecutor in St. Louis. She and her deputy were prosecuted. She eventually cut a plea deal and agreed to resign to avoid being further prosecuted, but her deputy went to prison. So actions are now being taken, but we have got to clean house. There are 126 of these prosecutors covering 30% of America.
Wow. Before we let you go, any surprises there? Like I'm imagining, obviously, a number of names on the list. I can think of a whole bunch of them around the country. Were there any surprises to you where you went, wow, that one's getting money there too?
Well, some of these prosecutors are not just at the local level. The Securities and Exchange Commission, the head of the Enforcement Division, is a Soros prosecutor. So there are some at the federal level as well as state and local levels.
Wow. Keep up the great work, Dan. Keep us posted as you get more developments. This is Blockbuster, and bravo for you. And as you go through it, obviously you've got thousands of pages. You got to come back on again soon, Dan. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, Rita. Thanks,
wow.
Dan.
Wow.